That was something new. And then, you know, I have had stories of, because I've been in this business 100 years, you know, they go way back, or go back actually to their families and what stepmom meant to somebody. So that it's been really nice to hear that, because you know, when you're doing a film, it's different than theater, where in theater you know you have a relationship with the audience, so you know you're even happening or it's not happening. But when you do a film, you kind of, in order to survive, you have to just let go of it, because 9 out of 10 times they ruin it, either by music or editing, or it doesn't turn out however you thought you agreed it was going to be, right, Barry? You know, it's like everybody has this vision, and then you see it and you go, well, whose vision was that? That's like completely different. So if you're going to stay in this business, in a way, you have to really learn to surrender after you finish the experiences, where you have all the fun, and where you make connections, and where you learn things, and where you, you know, figure out how to be better. And then you just kind of let it go. So you never really know, unless you're crazy and going from theater to theater when people are watching your film, you don't really have an idea how it lands with people. And also sometimes the studio just, they have, like when I did Anywhere But Here with Natalie, they had Brad Pitt's movie, and The King and I, and they basically just didn't even barely release it. Well, actually the Rocky Horror Show, that happened too initially, that it only came back like years later. They just, if somebody in the studio doesn't get it, they just dump it. So now things are living online, and so people are finding Jeff Who Lives at Home, or these funny little gems of movies that really didn't get a shot. And so when you're at something like this, people can say, oh, you know what I just found the other day? And you find this movie that you did like 20 years ago that really someone was affected by. So that's really nice to know that people are moved by what you do and appreciate it, because you don't really have a sense of that. So I'm always grateful to have a conversation with people and find out specifically, you know, how my work has affected them. I'm not available all the time, but I definitely try to be present. Even today when we're listening to people, you know, to really listen. That's kind of my superpower, actually, is being a good listener. And I think when you see stories of someone that is the protagonist in their own life, that's stories that interest me. Not necessarily, you know, Sister Helen of Dead Man Walking, when I got that book and I met her, what was interesting to me was that every step of the way, she was pulled in further and further. And when I brought it to Tim and I said, you know, I want you to do this, and it took him a long time before he even looked at it. What was interesting about her was that she did not enter as a hero. She didn't go into the story saying, I'm going to get this guy out of here, or I'm going to take, you know, the death penalty. She just wrote him a letter. And then she got in deeper and deeper. And you find people sometimes, when your moment of truth comes, it's just about maybe, you know, not making fun of somebody when the whole room is making fun of them. You know, being brave enough to just say, excuse me, or yeah, I'm not feeling comfortable with this. It's not about people who go in ready to change the world. Those kind of real things that happen. You're at your job and you realize that something's not honest, or you know, you look around and you can see that they're trying to put a pipeline through your neighborhood, and you know, it doesn't mean that you start out seeing yourself as, you know, Mel Gibson or Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that's what I liked about that story, was that it was about this woman who just go visit my mother, then she visits the mother, then something else happens, and she gets in deeper and deeper and deeper. And it was not easy for her, and that's a really extreme example. But when people say, you know, you do so many political films, I believe every film is political, because every film either reinforces or challenges the status quo. So when you see The Nutty Professor, and they get everybody to relate to her getting the fat guy, that is fucking political, right? That is a big deal. when you see somebody in a, you know, these are changes, that is important. So that's why when you do a film, I believe you have to say, what is this reinforcing? What is the story they're telling? What are they saying? What do men like? What is okay with women? What is just? It doesn't have to be a dead man walking. It's just telling stories about people who also encourage you to be the protagonist in your own life and live your authentic self.
She's a sweetheart though. I gave her fucking the mozzarella actually. She must